How did the idea for the Fireman project come about originally, and how did you two come to work with each other?
It was a dream.
It was a Friday night. I was wanting Youth to do a mix for me, and he did. We got to know each other, we liked working together, we carried it on with the first album, second album, and now we're at the third album, Electric Arguments, and we're still having fun.
This time your names are on the cover. Why are you actively promoting this project now, and why the new focus on proper songs?
Well, we got found out, so our anonymity...
Anomaly.
Was a bit pointless in doing it because people knew on the last album we got unmasked.
It was a little bit kind of coy to just keep saying, no, it's not us, you know. So we thought, well, you know, it's still the Fireman.
Yeah.
It's us as the Fireman.
Yeah. And how does the collaboration process for you guys work?
Normally, Youth will make a suggestion as to a groove. We'll talk about something maybe completely unrelated, and just get into a couple of ideas. I'll run in the studio, and I just keep running in and out the studio control room, and Youth will just sort of say, how about a bit of this, how about a bit of that, and I go, yeah, okay. We'll make suggestions, throw the ideas at each other. He arranges it, makes it into something, puts a form on it, and then we kind of work on that again.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, Paul just allows me to throw down any idea and push him into different directions and fearlessly bounces back with what he does best, you know, as being a great musician and a great writer, you know.
What are some of the arguments here as referred to in the title?
The title. I saw it in an Allen Ginsberg poem, and you know, one of the things about the album was not worrying too much about the meaning, but for instance, looking at the beauty of the words. So, Silent Lovers just came out of a poetry book. Angels Laughing came out. It's only because I liked the words, and then I'd try and sing them. So, it wasn't the meaning so much as the beauty. So, Electric Arguments, I just saw that. I still don't remember what poem, but it was an Allen Ginsberg poem I read recently. And I just liked those words, and it seemed to fit with what we've been doing.
And we were using those beat poet techniques of cut up and random sort of I Ching, throw it down, see where it lands, and a lot of the process was like that anyway. So.
Improvisation.
Yeah.
Nothing Too Much sounds like quite an angry track. Is it an angry track, and is it exciting to rock out like that?
It's very exciting to rock out like that. I love to do that. No, we had the groove, so any anger is really probably coming off the groove. It was just a heavy, dirty groove. We've been talking about doing some of that, so we did that. And then the title comes from a friend of mine from the 60s, a guy called Jimmy Scott, who was the original guy who said, oblada, life goes on, brah. And the other thing he used to say, you'd say, too much. He said, nothing too much, just out of sight. So I always remembered that, and I was talking to Youth about it. I said, well, that's a title. So we then, you know, threw that at it.
And when Paul gets a character and does a vocal take, he does kind of lose himself in that and just goes off on this performance, and often he has to hear it back to remember what he's done. He's totally outside of the realm of thought and consideration, just fully involved in that performance. And
it's that voice too, you know, when you're doing a wah, it's really, it's not your normal voice. So it's like kind of gospel-y, Little Richard inspired. And I used to say to John, we talk about it, I'd say, you know, it comes out the top of my head somewhere. And he'd say, oh yeah, and he'd always remember that. And I was trying to do the vocal on the Beatles record, Kansas City, and I wasn't getting it. Kansas City. John came down from the control room, he just whispered, he said, comes out the top of your head, remember? I went, got it. What? Kansas? And then did the track, you know. Right. So that's what it is, like you say, it's a bit out of body, that voice.
Yeah.
Between your classical work, solo work, and this project, The Fireman, you obviously like to move between different genres. The thread between this is obviously you. Is there any way you characterise the essential thing that you bring to these projects?
That Youth brings to
that you bring to these projects.
That I bring.
Well, he's him, isn't he?
I bring myself. I just show up.
I think one of Paul's great qualities is he doesn't really spend a lot of time, when I've been with him, thinking about self. Who am I? What am I supposed to be? He just does what he does. And that's, that gives him a great ability to just throw himself into anything. And, you know, all those things are just book covers. That you open up, there has to be some emotional depth, and that comes from Paul.
The music industry is changing so fast at the moment, and even since the Starbucks album last year, things have moved on. How is working through an independent route for you this time? What's that like?
I like it, you know. You know, for me, the thing is, it just became time when a lot of the big labels lost their direction a bit, just got too elephantine and too corporate to have any fun dealing with them. You know, it was like there were people worried about their jobs, it's a huge corporation, you know, those kind of places. And so it was just cooler to talk about people who love music, and indies tend to bring that. You know, it tends to be people who are in it because they love the music. So they give you a more personal vibe, and I think you just have a bit more fun working that way.
Yeah, and indies tend to work hard on it because they got more to lose if it don't work, you know. So they're more passionate generally. But you get great people in indies and majors.
And you know, it doesn't mean to say the big labels won't get it together. I think this just isn't a great time for them. I think, you know, we're downloading everything. They haven't quite figured out how they're going to deal with it. I think that when they do, I think, you know, they'll also figure out how to get a little less corporate and just go back to the roots of what the music was about.
Great, thank you.